Hi folks, I'm here again with Dale Glick, our historian, and we were talking earlier together about sanitary conditions in the way back years of Galena and diseases, cholera, smallpox, tuberculosis, those kinds of things. Dale, what can you tell us about any of that?
Only a little around the edges is cholera, is my understanding. I don't know it's caused by contaminated water, but there is in newspaper articles on Stagecoach Trail that the stagecoach was traveling from Chicago to Galena. Well, just north of Scales Mound, there's a stagecoach stop, the Berry Tavern, and several of the passengers had died, and they stopped at the Berry Tavern and buried them there. The following day or days, shortly thereafter, 2 or 3 of the stagecoach drivers died, and they were buried at Old City Cemetery. Thinking about the early days, you didn't have garbage pickup, you didn't have sewer systems. We used to have a 4-story meat plant where they'd have hogs, and they butchered them. And I'm thinking, well, if they're butchering them, where's all the blood go? Where's all the guts and stuff go? Well, this 4-story plant, the Ryan Packing House, was next to the Galena River. And all of this would have ran into the river.
Oh.
They had a couple more down by what today is the cheese shop. The buildings aren't there, but across the street where the parking lot is, several buildings similar to the existing Gazette building, 3-story brick buildings filled in that parking lot. There were 2 packing plants there. Same thing, if you butcher them on the Bench Street side, the effluent would run down and into the river, because we know they didn't package that up, you didn't put it down the sink because you didn't have sinks.
Right.
They had animals ran loose on the streets. They even had a person called a scavenger that he would get paid $1 or $2 to pick up dead dogs, cattle, pigs that had died in the roads or got run over, to keep the streets clean.
Oh.
So there's a lot we don't know. You didn't have indoor plumbing, so you had outhouses. Water was started in 1887. So from the beginning of Galena, 1820s to the 1887, we didn't have running water. You had cisterns, or you'd collect rainwater. I never thought of this, but where would we get spring water? The city had several springs throughout town, and I'm just thinking, I thought that was only for horses, but now that I think about it, there was one on West and Mars Avenue.
Okay.
There was one on Spring Street, because we have pictures of them.
Mm-hmm.
There was 1 or 2 over on Park Avenue. There was one up by Dillon's on Franklin. And these were the artesian wells through Galena that either naturally came up, or I hadn't read that they were drilled, but I'm just thinking the one on Mars Avenue and West, people living in the 1970s, our neighbors, used to walk up to that one and get their drinking water.
Okay. All right. So, that explains it. Science then wasn't what it is today. So they had no idea that they were drinking contaminated water, and their family members were all dying, and they probably had no idea where that was coming from.
Yeah, and you had no medicines, no vaccines.
Right. Now, tuberculosis.
My understanding of that has to do with closeness.
Okay.
I don't know how it starts, but if you have more people living in a household than you would have today, if one person contacts it, it could be easily spread to another person.
Okay.
And it would take time. I don't think it was like an instantaneous death. You could live with it for several years or whatever, but you'd be spreading those germs to others that you'd come into contact with.
And this was, we just did a plaque, and it had talked about a gentleman who had committed suicide, and he was devastated because he lost his wife and his children to consumption. Now, that's tuberculosis?
That was tuberculosis.
That was tuberculosis. Okay. All right. So that makes sense. It was just going through the family. All right. Interesting. Thanks, Dale.